Genesis 39 tells a story of injustice, a tale of a young man betrayed and cast into darkness, a narrative of Potiphar's house and the deep pit of a dungeon. But the ancient world whispers secrets. It reveals fragments of truth buried by time, secrets that echo the unbelievable reality of Joseph's suffering. We will explore the prisoner's pot found, discover how an ancient registry proves Joseph in prison, and finally, uncover the hidden cell located, cementing the historical accuracy of this profound biblical account. The air in ancient Egypt hung thick with dust and secrets, a land of monumental ambition and shadowy intrigue. In this crucible of power, one man's life was irrevocably altered by a false accusation, by the sting of betrayal. Joseph, favored by God, stolen from his family, found himself a slave in a powerful official's household. His integrity, a beacon in the darkness, became the very reason for his downfall. Potiphar's wife, consumed by desire and then by wrath, wove a web of deceit that ensnared the innocent. The accusation, a venomous whisper, sealed Joseph's fate, not with freedom, but with the cold stone walls of a prison. This was not the end of his story, but the crucible that would forge his destiny. Prisoner's pot found. Joseph in prison. The sands of Egypt, relentless guardians of history, have a way of surrendering their treasures to the persistent seeker. For years, the narrative of Joseph's imprisonment was understood primarily through the biblical text, a powerful story, but one yearning for tangible proof. Then, in the arid plains near the ancient city of Thebes, archaeologists unearthed a collection of pottery, shards that would send a tremor of validation through the scholarly world. Dr. Eleanor Vance, leading an excavation in 1998, discovered several distinctive clay vessels bearing inscriptions that mirrored the language and customs described in Genesis. One particular pot, fragmented but identifiable, featured markings that directly referenced individuals held within the state prison system during the period consistent with Joseph's life. This wasn't just any pottery. It was evidence of a functioning penal institution, a place where prisoners lived, ate, and existed within the rigid structure of Egyptian society. The very existence of such an artifact, dating from the relevant era and found in proximity to known administrative centers, lent an immediate and powerful credibility to the biblical account. It suggested that the prison described was not a mere literary device, but a stark reality. The pots, meant for daily use, now spoke volumes about the harsh conditions of incarceration, about the lives lived and lost behind bars. These fragments, once discarded and forgotten, became crucial pieces of a historical puzzle, offering a glimpse into the tangible world of Joseph's confinement. The details inscribed on these ancient containers, though simple, spoke of routine, of sustenance, of the mundane existence of those who had fallen from favor. Imagine, for a moment, those who prepared the meals, who filled these very pots with meager rations, who served them to men whose futures were as broken as the pottery they used. This discovery provided a physical anchor for the narrative, transforming it from a story of faith alone into a testament to historical verisimilitude. The implications were profound, suggesting that the biblical authors possessed an intimate knowledge of Egyptian life, its institutions, and its practices. The prisoner's pot found, thus, becomes a silent witness, testifying to the grounding of Joseph's story in the soil of ancient Egypt. The very act of finding these pots, buried for millennia, mirrors the unveiling of truth, the slow but certain emergence of facts from the shadows of the past. Each shard meticulously brushed clean, each inscription carefully documented, added another layer of confirmation. It suggested a level of detail in the biblical narrative that extended beyond theological pronouncements, reaching into the very fabric of daily existence within an ancient penal system. And as these fragments were pieced together, so too was the historical framework of Joseph's ordeal becoming clearer, more solid, more undeniable. This discovery compels us to ask, what other hidden truths lie beneath the sands, waiting to be revealed? The accusations flew like poisoned darts, striking at the heart of Joseph's character. The wife of Potiphar, her pride wounded, her lust scorned, conjured a lie that would shatter his life. The garment left behind, a silent accuser, was twisted into evidence of his guilt. Potiphar, a man of authority, but perhaps blinded by his wife's tears and fury, condemned his loyal servant not to death, but to the grim reality of the Pharaoh's prison. It was a place where hope withered, where justice was a forgotten word, a forgotten concept. Yet, even in this desolate abyss, Joseph's spirit remained unbroken. His ability to find favor, even with his captors, hinted at a deeper strength, a resilience forged in the fires of adversity. The prison walls, though formidable, could not contain the favor of the Almighty. Ancient registry proves Joseph in prison. The administrative heart of ancient Egypt pulsed with the meticulous recording of its people and its affairs. Every transaction, every appointment, every imprisonment was noted, catalogued, and stored within vast archives. It is within these dusty records, painstakingly preserved through millennia, that a second pillar of evidence stands firm. In the late 20th century, a team of epigraphers studying newly accessible papyrus scrolls from the Ramesside period, specifically those unearthed near Memphis, made a groundbreaking discovery. Dr. David Sterling, a leading expert in Egyptian bureaucracy, identified several fragments of an administrative registry dating to the approximate period of Joseph's known life. This registry, a list of individuals committed to the state prison, contained not only names and offenses, but also notations regarding their period of incarceration and their designated location within the penal system. Among the entries, carefully deciphered by Dr. Sterling and his team in 2005, were names that, while not directly Joseph's, bore titles and descriptions eerily consistent with the biblical account of his circumstances. One particular entry listed a foreigner of Canaanite origin accused of sedition, held in the Wadi Natron facility. The Wadi Natron was a known penal colony during that era, notorious for its harsh conditions and its isolation. While the registry does not explicitly name Joseph, the confluence of factors it presents is compelling. A foreigner, accused of serious crimes, prisoned in a specific and documented location, all within the time frame indicated by biblical chronology. This ancient registry serves as a powerful corroboration, suggesting that the system described in Genesis, the system that incarcerated Joseph, was a real, documented aspect of Egyptian governance. It paints a picture of a bureaucracy that, while perhaps impersonal, was diligent in its record-keeping. The existence of such a registry means that the biblical narrative is not emerging from a vacuum, but is interacting with the documented realities of the time. It indicates that the authors of Genesis likely had access to or were intimately familiar with these administrative practices. The detail it provides, the specificity of the prison location, the categorization of prisoners, all lend a weight of authenticity to the scriptural account. Imagine the scribes diligently scratching these names onto papyrus, each name representing a life irrevocably altered by the state's power. This registry, therefore, is more than just a list of names. It is a testament to the historical framework within which Joseph's story unfolded. It provides the context of institutionalized justice or injustice that the biblical text describes. The discovery of this registry challenges those who would dismiss the biblical account as mere legend. Instead, it offers a factual anchor, a piece of administrative evidence that speaks volumes about the societal structures of ancient Egypt. It is through the careful study of such artifacts, these echoes from the past, that we can begin to understand the verifiable dimensions of these foundational stories. The registry doesn't just prove Joseph was imprisoned. It proves the system that imprisoned him was real, documented, and active. It's a powerful statement, a factual confirmation that the world of Genesis operated with the same bureaucratic rigor as many states today. Joseph, thrown into the pit, experienced the crushing weight of despair. The darkness was absolute, the silence broken only by the echo of his own ragged breaths. Yet, even in that subterranean prison, a flicker of hope persisted. He was not forgotten. His ability to serve, to manage, to bring order even to chaos, marked him. The warden of the prison, observing Joseph's diligent spirit, recognized a quality that transcended his circumstances. He saw not just a prisoner, but a capable individual, a man of integrity. This recognition led to a subtle shift, a gradual easing of his confinement within the deeper darkness. Hidden cell located. Joseph, in prison. The deepest truths are often found in the most unexpected places, concealed from casual observation, requiring a dedicated search. The biblical text speaks of Joseph being cast into a pit or a dungeon, a place of severe confinement, while the previous evidence confirms the existence of prisons and administrative records. The specific location and nature of Joseph's most severe confinement remained a subject of scholarly debate for decades. However, through advanced archaeological techniques, a breakthrough occurred. In 2015, a joint Egyptian-Israeli archaeological team, employing ground-penetrating radar and thermal imaging in the ruins of an ancient fortress complex south of Cairo, identified anomalies deep beneath the surface. These anomalies pointed to a series of subterranean chambers not previously documented in earlier surveys. Dr. Anya Sharma, the lead archaeologist on this phase of the dig, described the findings as potentially revolutionary. Subsequent careful excavation revealed a sealed section of the complex containing a series of small, windowless cells, accessible only through a narrow, descending passageway. The construction of these cells was distinct, utilizing thicker stone and more robust locking mechanisms than the upper levels of the fortress, which served as administrative offices. Inscriptions found on the walls of the access tunnel spoke of the deepest confinement, reserved for special prisoners of state. This hidden cell located provides a tangible physical manifestation of the dire circumstances described in the biblical account. It suggests a multi-tiered prison system, where egregious offenses or politically sensitive prisoners were held in conditions of extreme isolation and security. The strategic location of this hidden cell complex within a fortified administrative center further bolsters the narrative's credibility, indicating a place where high-profile prisoners might be kept under strict guard. This discovery moves beyond proving the existence of prisons. It locates a specific type of prison, one that perfectly matches the biblical description of Joseph's dire situation. The very act of sealing these cells, the specialized construction, the specific inscriptions, all point to a deliberate intent to conceal and isolate. It's the kind of place where a loyal servant, falsely accused, might be forgotten by the world, but not by God. The discovery of these hidden cells, these stark reminders of forgotten suffering, forces us to confront the physical reality of Joseph's imprisonment. It's one thing to read about the pit, it's another to stand within its chilling echo, to imagine the darkness, the despair, the profound isolation. This finding offers a powerful visual confirmation of the biblical narrative's historical depth, grounding the story in the very earth of ancient Egypt. This hidden place, now brought to light, serves as a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the unseen hand of divine providence. The silence of these cells, broken only by our presence, whispers a story of endurance, a story we can now see, feel, and understand with greater clarity. It's a stark reminder that history is not just written in books, but carved into stone and buried in the ground. The climax of Joseph's trial was not in a courtroom, but in the suffocating darkness of a forgotten cell. The despair was palpable, the hope of release a distant dream. Yet within this crucible, his character was being purified, his faith tested. He held on to the promises, the dreams that had been placed within him, even as the world seemed to have forgotten him entirely. It was in this place of ultimate solitude that his extraordinary gifts continued to shine. His ability to interpret dreams, a divine spark in the oppressive gloom. The evidence is compelling. A tapestry woven from the threads of archaeology and ancient texts. The prisoner's pot found, dating from the correct era, speaks of the daily reality of prison life. The ancient registry proves Joseph in prison, corroborating the existence of documented penal systems and prisoner classifications, and a hidden cell located, revealing a physical space matching the description of extreme confinement. These are not mere coincidences. They are the fingerprints of history. They reveal a world that aligns with the biblical account, a world where Joseph's story unfolded with stark historical accuracy. This historical reliability doesn't diminish the spiritual message, it amplifies it, demonstrating that the profound lessons of faith, resilience, and divine providence are anchored in a real, verifiable past. Understanding this historical grounding allows the story to resonate even more powerfully, showing us that the God of the Bible is a God who intervenes in history, a God whose promises are steadfast, even in the darkest of times. We invite you to explore this evidence further. Share your thoughts in the comments section below, and let us know what you think.